All right, welcome back to the Streamlined CEO podcast. Today we have a very special guest. Her name is Melissa. I'll let her introduce herself here in just a minute, but I want to tell you how Melissa and I met. We met in a mastermind, but more importantly, we really, I feel like, truly met each other when we went to retreat together and we were roomies. So we shared a hotel room and we really got to bond and get to know each other really, really well, which was like amazing. I'm kind of sad she's not going on the next retreat, so I don't have a roomie, but that's okay. We'll figure it out. There'll be other retreats, right? So go ahead and introduce yourself, Melissa. Tell us who you are, who you serve, and all that fun stuff.
Thanks, Karalee. Hi, everyone. I'm Melissa Hinman. I'm a registered nurse and a health coach, and I support midlife perimenopausal women, moms, to make that shift in their daily lives to increase their energy and fight the hot flashes through intentional movement and nutrition. And I have to follow up and say that the mastermind was amazing. And I think rooming with you was probably the best part of that mastermind because when we connected beforehand, I already knew that it was going to be like a perfect roommate match.
I am so glad that you thought that too. I'm excited for future retreats to room together when we're both able to make it. So also what you do is absolutely amazing. We're not talking about what Melissa does today. We're actually doing a case study on a podcast VIP week that she took with me. And so we're really digging into what that did for her. But we are going to totally have her back to be a guest later on to talk about perimenopause and how she can help you women that are listening today. So we're going to jump into the podcast VIP week. What did you absolutely love about the podcast VIP week? And actually, before you answer that question, why did you decide to actually say yes? Like, what were you struggling with there?
So I found like my biggest struggle was really getting everything I was in my head, like out. I really felt a drive to produce some long form content for my growing audience. And I really felt like starting a podcast was just the way to do that, to share my authentic voice and, all the stuff that just rolls around in my head. So that was my reason for starting a podcast. My reason for asking you for help was really because I needed help filtering out all those thoughts, because the couple that I had recorded on my own was okay, but I didn't have a solid routine in place.
I love that. Yes. So, with that process, what was like the thing that you just loved? Like, what did you love about the process of the VIP week?
So the first thing that I loved is that when we met for our first like Zoom chat, you were just like, all right, so tell me what's going on, tell me what you want, tell me what you need. And you very uniquely tailored it to what I was looking for. But also, I didn't really know everything I was looking for. And so that first session really became like a brain dump for me, where I just started like rambling off all these things. You're like, just tell me what's in your head, and you're like, yep, I'm taking notes. Yep, I'm taking notes. And then at the end, you're like, all right, well, so what I'm hearing is this, and this is what I think we need to focus on. So that was the biggest thing, is filtering through my squirrels.
Oh, I love that. Yes, this is actually one of the biggest things when I'm implementing systems or anything like that with anybody, is really you just need to talk it out with someone that's going to take all of the information and compile it together and be like, this is actually the path that you need to take. Because at this point, you're probably in your head, you're like, there's so many different decisions here. There's so many different ways I could take this. I just need someone to like point me in the best direction that has the experience. Is that how you feel right there?
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, give me
perfect.
like I need to be told what to do when, like do golden.
I love that. Oh my gosh. So now that you have officially gone through the VIP week, you got all the support, you have launched the podcast officially. Like you launched it the next day. Like you were officially like, I am golden. Like we're good. The very next day after our first session, which of course that was awesome. And I got to listen and all the things, which is fun. But the fact that that empowered you, just having that clarity and you knew where it was going, that and you were like, I'm doing this the very next day, which is so powerful. So obviously, I'm sure you loved that that was an after effect, right? An outcome. But now that you've actually like it's been a little bit, you launched your podcast a couple of months ago. How are you feeling now after that time with your podcast process?
Yeah, I feel solid. I strive on routine. And when I don't feel like I have a solid routine in place or a plan, I find myself floundering. My brain is wandering all over the place, and I'm like, oh, well, maybe I can work on this, or maybe I can work on this, and really putting off the main thing that I really want to do. So now that I'm in this routine, I don't feel that like analysis paralysis, right? Like I got a flow now. I have a solid game plan in place. And with the tools that you've shown me, somewhere I already had already, but more importantly, ClickUp, I'm able to really go do down the line of everything that needs to happen, both for my podcasts, planning, repurposing, and all the after content stuff. So I don't know if that answered the question because I'm rambling again, but I feel solid.
Yeah, no, that totally answers it. And she actually, this was an unexpected outcome on my end as the person that was giving the instruction, is that I have all my processes in ClickUp. And so one of the podcast processes I share with the clients is like, you can use this in ClickUp or you can take this and run with it in a different way. But what I loved is like, Melissa's like, can you just like step this up for me? Like I literally took remote control of her screen and I set it up for her. And she was like, this is amazing. Like I didn't know it could be this easy. And so that's like an epiphany that I'm sure Melissa had. She's like, oh man, like this is a little bit easier. So it was a little bit of something I wasn't expecting because it wasn't a ClickUp VIP week, it was a podcast VIP week, and but you got a little bit of both. So now you're like, ooh, I might need to do some more stuff in ClickUp. So we'll have to talk about that later. Do you have anything else that you would like to add about your experience?
Just want to say that I truly appreciate your authenticity, your openness to share your own experiences, whether it was things that did not go quite as planned and things that worked really well. So having the expertise in the background and also that one-on-one availability to message you when we weren't in our Zoom meetings was very helpful for maybe some random questions that came up in the week.
Oh, and some motivation. And you're like, hey, I did this
Motivation.
thing
Yeah.
and all those things. I love the Slack support. It's one of my favorite things. So how has launching your podcast actually helped you serve your clients better?
Yeah. So by launching the podcast, I now have availability to use this long form content and repurpose it in other ways. So taking my podcast transcript and then being able to tweak it to create some weekly emails and post a blog post, and then even in social media by creating either a carousel or a reel. So really taking everything from that one item and being able to like disperse it in different areas.
Yeah, and I talk about that a lot. We can really maximize their podcast because you normally start a podcast, right? Because you want to verbally talk to people on the go, essentially. But there's so much gold in there that you can transfer, like repurpose into so much other content. And we totally make a custom repurposing plan for you in the VIP week as well. So basically, here's the overview. You get some Zoom support. There, we're talking 2 90-minute sessions, and then I throw in a surprise there, so you get a surprise at the end as well. You get 14 days of Slack support for all those questions and support and things like that. What would you say to someone, Melissa, if they were thinking about launching a podcast, but also maybe they're stalled on it? What would you say if they were thinking about actually investing in a podcast VIP week?
There's absolutely no harm to it, right? What's the worst that could happen? You're already not watching your podcast. So you might as well take that step to do the VIP week to at least get the insight from a well expertise professional and hopefully get you on the road to where you need to be with the podcast. Now, I was thinking about this scenario a little bit earlier when I was looking at these questions, and I thought, you know what? I have yet to invest in a house cleaner because it's not a priority for me, but investing in the VIP week was a 100% priority for me. So, where's the priority?
All right. So how badly do you want to launch your podcast, right? That's what you're
Yes.
saying here.
Yes.
And if it's really bad or if it's been on your list for at least 6 months, like all year or even longer, right? We need you to say yes because we're gonna get it launched in one week. Like seriously, 1 week. We're going to get all the foundations, all the repurposing, all the fun things. I'm so excited. You can tell I'm excited about this. So if you want to connect with Melissa further to actually explore the perimenopausal state and all of that stuff, she has a wealth of knowledge trying to get your energy back and just feeling better. Where can they connect with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can find me on Instagram at It's Melissa Hinman. And you can access my podcast at melissahinman.com/podcast.
All right. So yeah, you have to go check out her podcast. Like that's the whole point of this, right? Like where she launched the podcast, you got to go check it out. Give her some listens, follows, all of whatever those words are here. Go love on Melissa here. All right. So thank you so very much for doing this for me. And I'm so glad that you got the results that you were looking for
Thank
as well.
you.
All right. Bye.